So, without sounding too cliche or self-helpy or motivational in any way, I do genuinely believe that this will actually have a positive impact on your life and change your life in some way. Because the entire reason for making this video is because of how it's changed my life for the better. Because of procrastination issues, because of simply being able to let go of bad habits and like start bringing in good habits like journaling and being able to actually read. I've never been a reader in my life, and yet because of this habit, I now read basically every single day. Even if it's just because of this rule for a short amount of time, I still do this. So, this is all about the 5 minute rule. And to be honest, it's the 5 minute rule, it's also the 2 minute rule, it's kind of also the 10 minute rule. But I want to go beyond just the 5 minutes part of this because although that's technically a good headline, a good way of obviously getting your attention to actually be able to talk in more detail about this for 5, 10, 15 minutes or so, I want to dive a little deeper into why it is 5, 10 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it might be. Um, and that's because it applies to multiple different areas of your life, whether it's a procrastination and focus issue, or why you're procrastinating in the first place, which I will get to very briefly, and what I've done to overcome that, whether it's trying to embrace a good habit, like for me it's been reading or journaling, or overcoming a bad habit. And I want to explain like how this works. So first of all, I'll explain the issues I've had. So naturally, I have a crazy short attention span. Whether it's ADHD or not, I never know to this day, but crazy short attention span nonetheless. And I've always felt like, whether it's been an overwhelmed thing or not, naturally, I just lose focus in something that doesn't immediately get me into some sort of creative flow within about 5 or 10 minutes, which is the whole point of this rule, by the way. So that was always a big problem with me. Just anything that I wasn't like just immediately had a great feeling about, I just didn't really have any energy for, unless I was kind of forced to do it. Basically, I know we're never forced, but you know what I mean, hopefully. And so that was with procrastination and trying to get something done in terms of a task or in terms of productivity. The next thing is in terms of, I would say, eliminating bad habits. So the not necessarily 5 minute rule here, but certainly the 10 minute rule applies here in terms of bad habits. Obviously, you might be able to get it down to 5 minutes in the end, or even 2 minutes. And I think they both can work in most cases, depending on the severity of the bad or good habit you're trying to put in place or get rid of. But the way it works in terms of a habit is that for me, how it's worked, let's say in terms of like simply craving sugary foods like snacks, that type of thing, or like a soft drink or a soda instead of just having a glass of water or something, right? Um, is if I crave something that is bad for me, I will simply wait those 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. And obviously, depending on like how, like in most cases the 2 minute rule would probably still work here, just 2 minutes. And the whole point of this is that you're simply kind of playing on the reward side of your brain, because naturally, as kind of the animals we are animals, yeah, we are reward based creatures. So we want a reward for doing something, but what we're doing is we're playing into that feeling of, okay, I'm not going to let you have this thing that's bad for you now. I'm going to wait 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long. And so that's what this whole thing is about. And in 99.999% of cases, you will have forgotten about or just not be bothered about that thing that you've come to remember 5-10 minutes ago you were thinking about. You'll have got on with anything else. And this works in the opposite way with a good habit as well, because in the same way that you remove a bad habit by just kind of saying, okay, 5 minutes and I'll do it, 10 minutes and I'll do it, because 99% of the time you won't, you'll lose the temptation for it, you'll lose the craving for that bad habit, whether it's a soft drink or whatever it's other stuff. So that is how that works. When it comes to a good habit, like for me, it's been reading or journaling. That's just been boring and tedious, right? It's just a very monotonous activity. The way I do it is something I learned from Jordan Peterson as well, which is, again, it comes down to like the 2 minute rule, the 5 minute rule, even a 2 second rule. Basically, the time doesn't really have any effect on this, but it's all about making the task smaller. And the problem that most people have with this is we don't have the inner humility in ourselves, or whatever you want to call it, to actually lower the barrier. We're often too embarrassed with ourselves to say, I don't want to read, at all. I don't even want to read one page. Okay, will I read one line? Well, okay, that's nothing. Okay, start with one line. And that's why most people don't start. That's why I didn't start for literally 23, 24 years of my life. Like, I now read like at least 5, 10 minutes a day. I know it's nothing crazy. Sometimes I've read for nearly 30, 40 minutes a day, but it depends on how I feel after like a while. My main way I reward myself for reading is, okay, I've read 2 pages, 5 pages, 10 pages, a whole chapter, whatever the thing might be. I normally try and read at least half a chapter or a chapter. I'm not the most confident reader in the world, but I'm not the worst reader either. So I'm certainly trying to work on my reading skills. So this is where like the 2 minute rule, I think, for me comes in really handy. It's probably more like the 2 minute rule here, but either way, it's this time span for lowering the barrier to entry for a good task. And so that is what I have been doing to get into a good habit, like journaling or reading, whatever it might be. Simply like lower the barrier until I actually do it, and don't be like embarrassed with myself for how low the barrier is, because ultimately I want to feel good that I'm actually trying to do this thing in the first place, and that's the good thing about it. So going back to like procrastination and habits in general, so the reason the 5 minute rule in the first place works for procrastination is, again, just for the same reason as a good habit. We are lowering the barrier to entry to get this thing started, because most things that we are not in just inherently bothered about immediately, most things that don't trigger that like excitement to want to do it, we need to lower the barrier to entry to actually do them. And so this is what I've done over the past 5, 6 months now consistently. Um, no, maybe 4 to 6 months consistently, to actually get into a task, basically, to actually want to do it, to be able to keep doing it, because it's always that initial, like, I don't know what it is. It's not necessarily like Dunning-Kruger effect or anything. Um, Actually, I think it almost is, but obviously not in terms of like uninformed pessimism, and you think you know everything at the beginning until you know nothing at the end, but you're aware you know nothing at the end. And we've all been there. I've been there myself, even with these videos and things. But the main point with getting over that procrastination hurdle with any task, what's worked for me, is knowing that you need the most motivation to get started with something at the beginning. So that's why, again, lowering the barrier to entry, just those first 2 minutes, those first 30 seconds, the first second. Like for me, I don't want to have to work on my email campaign. Okay, well, open the website. That's literally the objective. Open the website. Okay. Once I'm on the website, you basically open the door. It's now like, okay, I'm sat at my desk. I've opened my browser. I'm on like instantly or hosting whatever my email thing is, and I'm on here. It now feels kind of stupid to do anything else, or at least to not do the next small task. So within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you're doing the work. And actually, over time, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of these things, once you start doing things that you originally didn't like to do, you will end up actually building the habit of enjoying doing the hard things. And that's literally what discipline is, anyway. Enjoying to do hard things. So, anyway, um, that's about it, really. It's going to end up being like an 8 to 10 minute video. But nonetheless, I just wanted to kind of quickly walk through some segments of what I talked about in that last video that did quite well. Got over like 200 views on this channel, which is really good for me right now. With like time paralysis and the same kind of procrastination, time paradoxes and hurdles. And this is some stuff I've been dealing with as well, like bad habits, good habits, procrastination, lowering the barrier, which is basically all about what Jordan Peterson says with any sort of activity or habit, is lower the barrier. Make it as easy as possible to get started, because that's what's helped me with all of my good and bad habits, basically. Making it harder for a bad habit, delaying the bad habit until I don't want to do it anymore. With a good habit, make it as easy as possible to start. Literally, sometimes read one line of a page. That got me to read an entire reading half a page or an entire page, and go from there. Just don't be embarrassed to make it as low as possible to start. Lower the barrier, or lower the barrier to entry, make it as easy as possible. So yeah, enough of my ramblings, but nonetheless, thanks very much for watching this random video around a random place with my phone as my microphone. But nonetheless, thanks very much for watching. Hopefully an exciting video next week, but we'll see where it goes. But nonetheless, thanks very much for watching. Hope this helps. Let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.